Some places demand your attention, not with noise, but with quiet resilience. The Rio Grande is one of those places. It doesn't just divide countries, it unites people and ecosystems through survival. Across the US and Mexico, approximately 6 million people rely on the Rio Grande as their primary source of water. The river is crucial for drinking water, agriculture, and supporting the biodiversity of the Chihuahuan Desert and beyond. Today, we're utilizing the river as our own personal highway and floating to an iconic hot spring deep within Big Bend National Park. From the environmental challenges the river faces to the stories it holds, we're about to dive deep, literally and figuratively. This is just one activity on our 7-day road trip through West Texas, so buckle up and let's hit the road. We're up bright and early, ready to take our trip onto the river. It's an hour-long drive through the heart of Big Bend, and it reminds you just how remote this place is. Our guide told us stories about just how easy it is to get stuck out here, and stories of people who were stranded within the park for days. And what is now a barren desert was once a vast grassland. Big Bend National Park was historically part of a grassland ecosystem within the Chihuahuan Desert. Before significant human activity, much of the area was covered with grasses, supporting a variety of wildlife and plant species. However, in the 1880s, ranchers brought large numbers of livestock to the region, which led to overgrazing. Efforts are being made to restore parts of the grassland, but reestablishing native species takes time, especially due to the fragile desert ecosystem and soil erosion. And the Rio Grande, a river that's endured centuries, continues to be shaped by both nature, human hands, and facing new challenges like never before. After a quick review of the basics, we are on the river, ready to float, relax, and take in the peace that this river offers. Paddling a canoe definitely takes some good communication. One of the biggest challenges for the Rio Grande is invasive species. One example is salt cedar. This is a non-native plant that was introduced in the 1800s for erosion control. Now, lines stretch all over the river. You can see it on the sides here, and it is a water guzzler, consuming up to 200 gallons a day per tree, which puts incredible strain on an already dwindling resource. And these invasive species don't just drain the river, but they also outcompete native plants. And there's efforts to remove all sorts of invasive species and restore native vegetation, but it's a slow and underfunded process. And some of these plants are so invasive, it's like a hydra. You cut off one head and 2 more grow in its place. We made it to about Hot Springs location, and now it is lunchtime, so let's get to eating. Been kayaking for 2 hours. We got some PB&Js and some grapes. It's been very sunny, very warm, very toasty, very hot.
My favorite part of the whole area is just the way the hot
We took our lunch alongside a dried creek bed, and I was kind of obsessed with how the ground looked and the cracks within it. After we finished our lunch, we started a short walk towards the hot springs. Although there are hot springs all over the Rio Grande, this one specifically is an oasis that is layered with history. This area was known to be visited by a variety of Native American tribes, but specifically the Jumano people spent a lot of their time here bathing and enjoying the mineral-rich and healing properties of this hot spring. This spring is now known as the Langford Hot Springs because in the early 1900s, J.O. Langford, who suffered from malaria, claimed his health was restored by soaking here. He saw the potential and turned this into a desert health resort where visitors paid just 10 cents for a soak. Heated to a toasty 105 degrees, these waters are warmed when groundwater seeps down, heats up, and resurfaces enriched with minerals like calcium carbonate and lithium. And even though it was 80 degrees out, bathing in the geothermal energy of these waters and the minerals, I really did feel like I was being healed. Healed of what? I don't know, but it felt amazing. And the hot springs here is also a convergence of people. Lots of Americans stop here on hikes or like us on their canoe trips, and Mexicans sit on the other side selling tacos, tamales, and even some small souvenirs. The Rio Grande doesn't just divide both countries, but it is a lifeline shared by both nations. Under the 1944 Water Treaty, the US and Mexico agreed agreed to share its waters. Mexico provides the U.S. with water from the Rio Conchas and other tributaries, while the U.S. delivers water to Mexico from the Colorado River. But as time goes on, this agreement continues to face challenges. Drought, increased agricultural demand, and climate change have strained the river's flow, making it harder to meet the treaty's obligations. Disputes arise when one country falls behind on its deliveries, creating tension over this already stressed resource. It's a delicate balancing act, one that highlights the need for cooperation and sustainable management to ensure the river continues to support the millions who depend on it. And now we're hiking back to our kayaks, where we will kayak now down a little bit faster, more rapid-y river. They said there's no rapids, but it is definitely much faster. We're more kind of on like a lake chill vibes. This is going to be a little bit more steering, a little more challenging. Then we'll be done for the day. As we wrap up our journey, we enter into a small canyon. Thank you for joining us as we explored this beautiful and powerful river. This turned out to be such an amazing way to see Big Bend National Park, and I love getting to deep dive into the history, a little bit of science, and the current state of the Rio Grande. Don't worry, I don't always get this nerdy in my videos. After this, we head to Guadalupe Mountain National Park, where we'll hike the tallest peak in all of Texas. Don't forget to subscribe so you can join me on those and other adventures around not only Texas, but the entire world. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!